President Obama reportedly will, is at least considering executive action that could grant legal status to 5 million illegal immigrants. Our next guest says we're watching the wholesale evisceration of the distinction between legal and illegal immigration and the constitutional process by which we pass laws. Joining us is Manhattan Institute Senior Fellow, City Journal contributing editor, Heather Mac Donald. Heather, great to have you with us.
Thank you.
Do you believe the president at this point, based on what you know, would have the temerity to unilaterally bestow amnesty after it has been, just about a 9-year effort to pass laws that have been rejected in the Senate, have been rejected by Congress?
It sure looks like it, Lou. I'm stunned. I'm flabbergasted. We are at a moment, I think, that's very critical in this country, both for our immigration process and for simply the constitutional framework of government. Obama seems to believe that if Congress does not pass laws that he wants them to pass, he has the authority to do it on his own. But we're also seeing what happens, that when you ignore the rule of law, what you get is more law breaking. And we have these amazingly preposterous suggestions for granting more amnesty. The one that I love the most is that we're now thinking about granting amnesty to the parents of the so-called dreamers. These are the minors who were granted amnesty by Obama on the theory that, well, as children brought into the country by their parents, they had no responsibility for their law breaking, so they should have legal status. So Obama granted them legal status on the theory that they were a limited category. Well, now the proposal is to grant amnesty to their parents. Well, they were the ones who did knowingly break the law. So the rule now is going to be, bring a child illegally, he'll get amnesty and you will too. Yeah. This is only going to encourage
and that is
more
an inference. I'm sorry, Heather, that is an inference on your part. I mean, that's a statement. That is a loud, clear message that has been emanating from this White House literally for years now. Let's turn to the idea that illegal immigrants now picketing the White House because they want to have representation, direct representation, if you will, in the administration on any discussion of issues that pertain to them. Reaction to that demand?
Well, the sense of entitlement is extraordinary. You know, one of the favorite memes of the Open Borders crowd is we have to bring people out from the shadows because they're cowering in the corners worried about raids by ICE agents to deport them. This is absurd. There they are having meetings with the White House, presenting lists of demands. Again, once you start to break down the rule of law and say it doesn't matter, there is no ending that process. And we have state after state, city after city, making it as easy as possible to be here illegally, defying the federal government's minuscule attempts to enforce the law. They get away with it, so everybody gets away with breaking the law. And what we have now is, as you say, no more distinction between legal and illegal immigration.
And, you know, isn't it interesting that we have a president whose administration is effectively carrying out a disinformation, a vast, well-organized, energetic disinformation campaign against the American people themselves, perpetuating a lie that there is any enforcement, that there are deportations, and that they did not fictionalize the number of those being deported. At the same time that there was some sort of accident, as we watch from 2012 when he issued the deferred action on deportations in 2012, that rise to the current number expected by September to be 90,000 children, quote unquote, unaccompanied, but they really, in 85% of the cases, have members of their family with them. I mean, this is one lie after another. And no one, it seems to me, wants to answer the question. Why in the world would the United States bring in all these millions of folks when we have an entitlement and a welfare system that is broken? And they talk about borders. I mean, the entitlement system and the welfare system is broken. And we have people whose salaries are going down, not up, and household net worths that are declining, not rising. If there were a scarcity of labor, we'd see labor prices rising, wouldn't we?
We certainly would. So there's the economic side of this, which is simply counterintuitive. It's especially counterintuitive to the left, who claims to care about income inequality and wages of the working class, but they think that this law of supply and demand is somehow lifted when it comes to immigrant labor. But it's also a bigger issue, I think, again, of simply, do we stand for the rule of law in this country? And it's an insult to legal immigrants who came here through normal processes and respected our laws, that people who came into the country illegally now are demanding that they basically get to make immigration policy for the American people. It's a stunning moment. I would say, though, Lou, that you're right to finger the Obama administration, but blame is much more widespread. It's in every city in this country and every state capital that is also trying to outstrip the Obama administration in putting down a welcome mat for people here illegally and saying, we want you to be treated and given every single right that we possibly can that people here legally and actual Americans get. And
one of the three largest cities, Chicago, Heather, Rahm Emanuel only wants 1,000 of these illegal immigrants. I should think he'd want to bid higher than that. But, you know, and then perhaps those whose hearts are open and warm would bring them into, say, Malibu, into, Westchester County. The list goes on. Perhaps Washington, D.C. itself and environs. Heather, thanks so much for being with us. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Lou.
Heather McDonald. Now the quotation of the evening, this quote from Ambrose Bierce, the American writer and thinker, on the definition of amnesty. Amnesty, noun, the state's magnanimity to those offenders whom it would be too expensive to punish. Somewhat cynical, don't you think?